Okay, what the fuck was that? Alright, well, if he belly flops me, then I leave. Oh. Oh! I actually rolled it!
2 hours later.
Oh wait, that's the actual spell he was using. I wonder if the player version will actually hit that fast. Alright, I've set up the frame counter. Now let's see how fast the spell actually hits in the fight. 26 frames, so that's... Wait, let me check. Okay, so that hit speed is actually the same as the thrusting sword light attacks in DS3, but also in this game, specifically in the offhand. For some reason in this game, the S-Stock offhand attacks are slower, or are way faster than the attacks in the main hand. I think this was to balance out shield poking in a way. A pretty bad, I don't know what the exact intentions were, but yeah, like, for some reason, just between DS3 and Elden Ring, they give random buffs to the offhand version of thrusting swords for some reason. But yeah, with rolls being on release of your roll input, it's just on the edge of what's reaction rollable. But with this boss fight, I think it's a bit easier because there's a sound cue, and humans actually react faster to the sound than they do visual things. So it's a big help over what it would be if you did not have that visual spell sound effect. So yeah, not completely unreactable, but it will keep you on your toes in this fight. So I'm curious how much they sped it down for the player version, because it's certainly not going to be that fast. Especially if it has the other properties. I don't know, maybe it could just be weaker in damage or hitbox size or something like that. Let's see. Okay, so I finished the test, and unfortunately, my suspicions were proven true. Even with a bit of casting speed boost, it is more than 2 times slower than the boss version. But let's give it a chance. Let's quickly compare it with WoG here, see that speed. It's actually a bit slower than Noble Presence. But now let's take a look at WoG with max casting speed. 45, that actually looked quite faster. But when we look at Noble Presence, now it's just barely faster than half of the speed of the boss version. But hey, let's look at its other qualities, see if it has any redeeming ones, because, like, you know, maybe they had to balance it out, because you can't have all of them. However, I took a look at the hitbox, and it does not look promising. But hey, I said fuck it. I made this cosplay build, it looks fun, it almost definitely is going to be fun, so why don't we at least try it against some random players? Because it doesn't need to be competitively viable, really. A lot of these things, they just need to be possible to, like, condition someone into getting hit by it because of their lack of experience against it or something like that. But some things are unfortunately so overbalanced or so undertuned that this is not the case. So let's just look at the footage I collected playing this cosplay build. Okay, here's the first fight. I waited for him to do the physique. He's taking another buff. And even though I probably could just get away doing the buff myself, I went ahead and did the freaking flashy protective buff. Oh, he backstepped into that. Yeah, that doesn't have any iframes. Oh, it's already most of his health. Oh, that's all his health. Well, yeah, that's why you don't want to just throw out those running R2s. You really want to make sure your opponent isn't gonna, use something that can actually just out-trade that, like, at any moment. Even if you make sure you have the proper spacing that it will hit, they won't be able to, let's say, outspace it or whatever. Like, they can trade into it, so it's not just, like, free pressure. But yeah, this running R2 is very cool. However, my only problem with it, or I guess the game as a whole, is that other running R2s, like, they don't nearly have as much momentum. So, like, they could be good. Like, the Greatsword running R2 or the Ultra Greatsword running R2. They just sort of fall short of where they would be really good at roll catching or just, you know, having... Where basically any place where having a bunch of forward momentum would be nice, right? But, like, all the other running R2s, they just fall short. It's like they wanted it to be, like, super realistic and the movement. But then this one, they just made you, like, glide super far forward. Like, you can even see it with the backstep R1. I don't know, I think I just used it there. It just, for some reason, they only gave that R2 a bunch of momentum. Oh, yep, that's Stars of Ruin. Okay, so you can see here that I completely fuck up against it because, like, literally I don't have anything on this build to avoid most of the damage on it. All I can do is do subsequent rolls. And then one thing I messed up was running back in after 2, assuming he would be out of FP. But it turned out that he used the physique tier that actually gives him more FP. Or unlimited FP, actually. So, yeah, Stars of Ruin, the thing about it that I don't like, even people talk about, like, freaking, oh, well, there's Bloodhound steps, just use this. But, like, I don't like it if it's just like, oh, you have to, like, always have this weapon art, this one skill, which is completely broken and fundamental breaking in this game. Like, it should not be in this game. It's basically, like, high latency quick step in DS3, but add more range, and it also works on low latency as well. If you didn't know, it makes you invulnerable for 94% of its window. So both those two things are pretty ridiculous. Stars of Ruin, basically, I like to call it the lazy mage spell, because, you know, there are some skilled mages who set up a bunch of spells, and then because people, you know, aren't experienced against it, don't know how the ins and outs of how those spells work, they get caught up and then end up getting, like, trapped into a situation where they're basically guaranteed to take damage, but that only happens because the player does not properly pressure the mage, and they don't understand how the spells work or how to properly roll them, or, you know, they basically just, like, the mage earned that damage, right? Simply because you couldn't just, like, reaction roll all of it doesn't mean that it wasn't earned. Some of the things in this game have to be that way for it to have a lot of depth. But the thing is, Stars of Ruin just does it basically entirely for you without, like, it just by pressing one button at you know, like, any time you want. And in combination with that flask and stuff, it just gets pretty ridiculous, if I'm being honest. Oh, but it looks like I ranted past the time of that duel, so I'm not even sure exactly how I went, but if I were to guess, it was with the running R2s of the Great Thrusting Sword that we love so much. Okay, but this guy, he's using Golden Vow, which I'm pretty sure is nerfed in PvP. He took 2 buffs, so I went ahead and took Black Flame Protection, but I also gave him time for all the other buffs, except for the, Blue Flask, which I'm surprised I actually did. But yeah, he did, like, you know, expect me to, like, literally give him all those buffs for free, so I guess it was warranted. I went for, I knew he was gonna, be afraid of a backstab there, so he rolled. Oh, and there's a good example of Scouring Black Flame. It's a really cool spell, just, like, conceptually, but its tracking ends, like, freaking immediately. So literally, if they're just walking to the side of you from, like, a couple of meters away, they will strafe it even though it's a huge wall of black flame, simply because the tracking ends so early. It's very unfortunate. It's very similar to Noble Presence, in where, like, one factor being just so undertuned ends up making it a very hard to use spell. Like, very hard to make use of, even in these casual duels. Oh, and I guess I threw that to the ground, and Shockwave was good enough to hit him. Oh. I love it when you kill people in the air, because they have to actually hit the ground again before they can get to an actual death animation. And it's always a really funny death animation. I think also there, I was actually waiting for the Black Flame to kill him, because I thought it actually might end him alone, but it turned out it didn't, but that would have been really funny if it did. Running of R2 of the S stock is pretty fine. I think it's actually pretty fine and balanced for its size, right? You know, it's a faster weapon, so it should probably not have the same perks as, you know, like, it doesn't need that perk of the Great Thrusting Sword having its momentum that large. It's pretty fair. But yeah, again, like on other weapons, definitely they should have like a buff to their forward momentum on the running R2s. Okay, what does this guy have to offer? Oh, he poised it? Yeah, that makes sense. It was only a running R1, and he's using veterans. How about the second hit him? I don't know if that was a running R2, though. Oh! Ah, damn. Yeah, he got... they literally need to, like... It needs to be perfectly timed, and they need to actually roll away from being literally in your face. Like, that's the only way it roll catches. Oh! There, I traded with it, but it's not exactly favorable. But it definitely scared him, and I was able to pressure him off that, and I just shot that into the ground. But even then, if I aimed it a bit up even, it would probably miss him. Just because of the reasons I explained before with that spell. Okay, I think I'd go for Black Flame Protection here, right? You know, I wanted to see if you try to pressure me through it. I'm probably waiting for him to whiff so I can pressure him off it. Yeah? Oh, we both missed. He goes for R1. I dodge. Ooh, I think he thought I was gonna, you know, do that locked on. Oh shit. He did it at the same time I casted that. Oh, you know what I actually did there? I knew he actually might take his time and, you know, try and actually, like, do a proper roll outside the circle. But what I decided to do was just immediately spam roll into him, because it would scare him, because he would think, like, I'm going to do a rolling R1 with the rapier and then push him into the fire. So what it did was immediately panic and just immediately roll back, but that actually allowed him to get caught by the fire again. Alright. I think, what is it? This is the last duel I do. So just to clarify, this is also not like live. I'm not like doing this as I'm playing, if it wasn't obvious enough, but this is not like scripted. I'm trying to do this all in mostly one take, because like it's very hard for me right now to like speak while I fight. Like, it jeopardizes my gameplay. I know it's easier for some other people to, talk while fighting, but not exactly for me. So I think I like it like this way, doing the fights first and then, you know, putting some comments over afterwards. Oh, I think this was the guy, using G9's fashion and the recent setups he used. It's pretty funny, because like, you know, he's using rolling pokes like this, and then I was wondering like, I wonder if he's actually, you know, it could be a coincidence. That fashion, you know, is obviously really good, right? And the rolling poke is really strong too. Like, it's really high chance it's a coincidence. But then, in a quick moment here, yep, and Flame of the Red Mains, yeah. He was using that in a recent video, free aiming it. It was really nice. The one problem with that Ash of War, though, even though it's really good, with just like a little bit of latency, I've noticed that like people can roll back like and get phantom hit by the fire, and that basically eliminates all possibilities of it catching them when they roll back into the flame with still an active hitbox. So unfortunately the janky netcode stifles its possibility with that phantom hit issue. However, like Dragonhead Shield, worked the same DS3 and it was still pretty viable, but yeah. It's just one thing I wanted to note. Oh, I thought that Black Flame would catch. Oh! I don't know if G9 has lightning. I don't know if you ever use that weapon art. Oh, but yeah, you definitely put that on an S-stock. Holy shit, the window is meaty on that. And I saw him in a roll. So, and I knew he'd have to roll my rolling R2, so that was basically just free pressure. There was no way he could, like, hit me out of that. But GG. That guy was fun. But, what is it? If you guys don't know who I'm talking about, G9, that guy was cosplaying, he's an invasion streamer, and I really recommend you check him out, because he's a good friend, and unironically, probably the best invasion streamer so far in Elden Ring, just from what I've seen with, making use of basically anything he can in invasions, and using them in very thoughtful ways with like a deep understanding of how combat works in the Souls games and such. So I really recommend you check him out, because yeah, he's really entertaining, and you'll probably get a lot out of it if you are interested in invading in this game. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that duel session. I'll definitely do more of this. This was really fun. See you guys later.